Yo, what's up, all you burner stones and potheads? This is Weedman 420 with the Weedman 420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there, Mrs. Weedman?
Mr. Weedman.
How the hell are you?
Fantastic.
I love it. Hey, all you vipers out there in the world, hopefully you're smoking some big fat doinks while you're listening to the show. Mrs. Weedman and I are about to get normal, but don't forget, this week's episode, Mrs. Weedman and Mr. Weedman will be covering the latest in cannabis research, science, health, coming at you with some political news, business news, some state news. Then we got the international news going. And then Mrs. Weedman's going to end it with some cannabis culture. And now Mrs. Weedman and I are about to get normal with some Peak 112 grown by Jim Berry. Genetics were by Purple Lily Genetics. And this was given to us by our good friend Midwest Terps. And that was for the Midwest Terp Off, Illinois versus Michigan. And I am super stoked about smoking Peak 112. It is an indica-dominant hybrid strain, 70-30, created through crossing the iconic Gush Mint and Pinnacle strains. A fabulous nighttime strain for an evening when you need a little extra oomph to get to dozing. Peak 112 is the perfect tasty treat for any indica lover. The high will wash over you slowly, beginning with the tingle felt in the back of the head and forehead. This tingle will soon begin to ebb and flow through your entire body, relaxing it as it goes and eventually leaving you feeling totally stoned. Yay! I love being totally stoned and sedated from head to toe. A mellow sense of heady happiness accompanies this physical effect, lifting your mood while still leaving you in a place of sleepy bliss. Thanks to these effects and its insanely high THC percentage, Peak 112 is often chosen to treat experienced patients who are looking for relief from symptoms of conditions including chronic stress, anxiety, chronic pain, depression, or mood swings, and inflammation, Mrs. Weedman. This bud has a sweet and creamy mint cookie flavor with a super skunky and heavy exhale. Oh, makes me so happy. Skunky. The aroma keeps the heaviness flowing with a pungent, gassy diesel overtone, accented by minty, dank, and savory skunk. Peak 112 buds have oversized and long, concealed bright neon green nugs with dark leaves, these orange hairs and chunky purple tinted white crystal trichomes. And that is Peak 112 given to us by Jim Berry and by Midwest Terps. We appreciate you. Now, Mrs. Weedman's going to tell you about 8decades.com while I get to smoke this strain.
Yeah, if I can get through it without a cough attack. Still getting over a cold, so bear with me, everybody. Yes, please head on over to 8 Decades. That is our baby. 8decades.com, EIGHT, not the number 8, but the word. 8decades.com is where you're going to find our brand. We created the brand based on 8 decades of cannabis prohibition. We don't want there to be a 9th. We don't think that there is any legal reason there should be a 9th. Like, come on, let's move on with this already. People want the plant. So we created a beautiful smoke set. We created some storage jars. We've got grinders, steamrollers, hemp clothing from Young Maven. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. And we also have swag for the Weedman 420 show.
Yay.
So head on over and sign up for our newsletter. You'll get free shipping on your first order. And as we always say, you supporting 8 Decades supports the show and helps us pay Shorty, our producer.
Shotty.
So
everybody.
head over to 8decades.com.
Yeah, buy something for yourself, buy something for your loved one, buy something for your friends. Just buy something. It was 4th of July weekend, and it was a lot of fun. The weather sucked for a lot of people out there, but we wind up clearing up later tonight, and we saw a fabulous fireworks show.
Yeah.
It was a finale after 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 a finale, 45 minutes of finales.
Mm-hmm.
It was never like a dull moment in the show we saw. Yeah. We were at a friend's house.
There was no waiting for fireworks to get lined up or like the next phase or the kind of calm phase. It was just like
it was
everything
better.
all
it
at
was
once.
Better than almost every city show I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of fireworks display shows in my time in this 53 years of being on this earth, and that was probably one of the top 5 shows I've ever seen.
Yeah,
that was insane. insane. It just kept on going. We just kept like going, look, there's more.
We were just like cracking at some points. We were just cracking up. Like, this is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, who does this?
Yeah, it was great.
And in the beginning, it was cute because as they were setting up, they were just giving us like little teasers.
Yeah.
This was a private show, like in someone's backyard. Very large backyard.
Yeah.
And so surrounding their very large piece of property is like a subdivision. So they do have some neighbors that back up to their property, one of which was also doing fireworks. And so like they do a little teaser for everybody because all the people at the party were setting up their chairs and getting ready for the show. Many people had been there for years before, so they knew the production was going to be good.
Yep.
And so they'd do a little teaser for us, and then the neighbor would do like a third of their show.
Yeah.
And then they do a little teaser and the neighbor would do another. And then all of a sudden the show goes, the neighbor had nothing. Like nothing.
And
they're like, oh.
I talked to the house we went to. I talked to the party we went to, and he was telling me that on their Facebook page, the town's Facebook page said, yeah, one of our new neighbors in the community had a better fireworks show than the city's fireworks show. The city needs to step it up next year. Is basically what it said.
The show did not stop.
Oh no, it was 45 minutes of just ongoing finale. Literally. I mean, if you ever seen a fireworks show, you get like the whole thing, and then it ends with a good like 2 to 5 minute finale with just boomers, boom, 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 everything just
lights and noise.
This was a finale after it never stopped the finale, and everybody loves the finale.
Yeah.
And everyone cheers during the finale because it's going. You just cheered the whole time.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it was great. Wish I was on some mushrooms watching that though. That would have been amazing. 45 minutes of nonstop colors would have been. And
I would have liked that there was a pool that was filled with children, but I would have liked to cleared the kids out of the pool and put some rafts in there and just float around, totally baked, and watch the fireworks.
That would have been great too.
With some really great music.
That would have been. Oh yes.
That would have been like. Ideal.
Yeah, next year they'll have to play some. They did have a DJ playing music, but you couldn't hear it because there was so much
it was so much boom.
I mean, you had like 6-inch mortars going off just constantly and constantly and constantly nonstop. It was just like there was never not a moment there wasn't a mortar going off. It was great. I loved every second of it. So, and also 4th of July brings the
mosquitoes.
Well, besides that,
holy cow!
But every 4th of July, most of us are arguing who forgot something to bring to the party, right?
Weed.
Ketchup. No, I never forget weed. But ketchup, mustard, relish,
I
right?
I need
hot
more
dog
bags
buns,
of ice.
right? More bags of ice, right? The burger and a lot of people are waiting for the stuff to come off the grill so they can eat, right? But there's a whole different kind of barbecue out there, right? We watched it, the Coney Island, not fireworks. It's competitive hot dog eating.
Oh,
now we watch this every year.
Yep.
I mean, I've been watching it every year for a long time. But the reigning now 18-time champion, he got suspended for 1 year, and he did. Yes, because this has been his 19th one, but 18th year. Let's just say the Nathan's Famous Hot Dog Eating Contest delivered exactly what we all expected. Another messy, fucking dogs.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's gross. It's
like
just,
elbows deep.
Yeah. And guess who won again?
Funk.
Joey Jaws Chestnut.
Of course.
Joey
Jaws. I didn't know that was his name.
Joey Jaws Chestnut.
Joey Jaws.
Stepped back up to the plate, reminded everybody why he's the Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, Tom Brady, Muhammad Ali of the sport. I mean, he's 18 times eating hot dogs. Now, this wasn't his best year.
Right.
It was like 90-something degrees outside, so I guess that hurts your eating, but he ate 66 hot dogs, right? 66, but his best was 76. 76 was his best hot dogs when he was in his prime. It was just like Jordan scoring, in the playoffs, he averaged, so many points. That's like, 76 hot dogs.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely just horrifying. I was reading something though. So now think about this. 66 hot dogs is the average hot dog is around 6 inches long. Joey ate roughly 33 feet of hot dogs. That's longer than a school bus.
It should be coming out as it's going in.
somewhere your
How
stomach's
many
going.
feet of intestines do we have?
You have long. I think your small intestine's like 8 feet, 6 feet or something. Still not Still not as long as a school bus though.
We have 25 to 30 feet. He was pooping while he was eating. I bet he had a diaper on. Do you think? Should we ask?
No, I will not ask. But
do you wear a diaper? Are you pooing?
Just coming
because
right out.
That's not even counting the bread.
Right.
Imagine that.
Right.
The bloat.
Oh yeah, because that's why
that's
why they dip it in the drinks to get it down. Imagine trying to eat dried bread.
So he's pooping.
Basically,
just like,
gotta be. I mean, because that bread just falls apart. I mean, a hot dog bun is just complete. Just like no
down their arms.
Yeah, but I mean they're just shoving it.
Chest.
But you ever see like how they take the hot dogs and yeah, do that again, Mr. Weedman. Do that again.
No,
do that again.
No, you're not getting that. You're not getting that. You do it again. You do it again.
I already did it once.
You do it again.
No, you do it again.
Guess what?
Rock, paper, scissors.
People are going to be hitting rewind.
Scissors. Rock, paper, scissors.
No, absolutely not. No fucking way.
Everybody, if you listen to any of this, go to YouTube and watch Mr. and Mrs. Weedman jerking a hot dog. So,
oh my god!
But the winner, there's also something very impressive on the women's side. Miki Sudo kept her dynasty rolling with 38 3/4 hot dogs, capturing her 12th title. She's an Asian woman that's like, I think she's only like, I don't even think she's like 5'5".
So she's pooping too. They've got to be. No, I mean absolutely zero disrespect to these people.
But she's won 12 times.
I think it's really cool.
She's won 12 times.
Yeah, like they have training.
30.
Wasn't there a documentary on?
Show us how Miki Sudo ate those hot dogs.
No, I'm not doing it. Nice try.
So, no, we don't want you to know. Eat a regular hot dog like that all day long, you beaver.
Well, now I got your mind out of the gutter, didn't I?
No, you didn't.
Oh, it's not that easy.
No, it's never that easy. So, I mean, the best part, Joey admitted after he was actually a little disappointed that he didn't break his 76 hot dog record. But imagining 60 hot dogs, Mrs. Weedman, and going, I could have done better. I could have been somebody. I could have been a contender. So here's to that 4th of July tradition. Not only just fireworks, not only just barbecues, but the Nathan's Coney Island hot dog eating contest has been going on for a very long time. And it's disgusting to watch, but also very entertaining to watch.
Unbelievable.
I think it's funny as hell. I mean, but there's eating contests, not just hot dogs. There's like
pies and
eggs, ice cream. It's basically anything.
Anything.
We used to watch that show. That guy used to go to all the different restaurants and eat like the challenge.
He was like dying, so he had to stop because he gained like 200 pounds.
Oh my God, the stuff that he used to eat.
And he was like on the verge of a heart attack. He would go man versus food, and he would travel around the country. I don't think the world, at least the country. And he would go to restaurants that had food challenges, and he would take on the challenge.
Oh my gosh.
Oh. Whoa. Imagine doing that like 3 days a week.
We saw him when he started. He probably weighed maybe like 210.
Yeah.
By the time it was done, I think he weighed like 300.
I think more.
The stuff that he would eat. Oh my gosh. We'd watch it with the kids and we'd laugh our ass off and be like, I could never do. I never would want to do.
He didn't win them all. Like he didn't. Master them all.
I think maybe he.
But
I don't remember how many he actually won, but he won a lot. But he also lost a lot and paid the price because there was a couple times where he came like 95% of the way and it was like a few bites left and it was like 5 pounds of food. It's like, holy shit. You know, are you looking it up?
Yeah.
How many he won and how many he didn't win?
This was back in 2008. Man versus food. I'd have to read through this all.
Don't worry about it. Well, maybe you'll find it because I'm going to start the show. You're a good show starter. If you find it after I'm done with this article, then you can let everybody know how many he won versus lost. So, efficiency and safety of CBD and reducing pain and functional impairment associated with exercise and induced muscle injury. A randomized, placebo-controlled feasibility trial. The source came from the Journal of Cannabis Research. This is pretty good for all you people out there that exercise a lot. So if you ever hit the gym, I'm really fucking stoned.
I'm really stoned, and there's a bird outside the window that's chirping really loud.
Yeah, really loud. We have a lot of birds on this property. If you're into bird watching, it's pretty amazing.
We live in a wild bird
sanctuary. Basically, there's a lot. You had turkeys going across.
Turkeys were hanging out today.
Yep, absolutely. So, and then we had some
spoon-billed
herrings were out there the other day too, walking around by you, and they just looked and said, "Hey, what's up?" And just kept on going.
Just stay about 12 feet away. We're good.
All right. Before it gets out of control, if you've ever hit the gym a little too hard and helped the buddy move, or decided to play some basketball and thought you were in your 20s trying to dunk, you know the feeling. The next morning, your muscles are screaming. Walking downstairs feels impossible, and suddenly getting off the couch becomes an Olympic event. Well, researchers wanted to know if CBD could actually help with that kind of muscle pain, not because people say it works, but because science backs it up. That wasn't just a survey asking people how they felt. It was a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trial, which is considered one of the strongest ways to test whether something really works. 29 healthy adults are randomly giving either a full-spectrum CBD tincture or a placebo. Neither the participants nor the researchers knew who received what until the study ended. The participants took 67 milligrams of CBD daily for 15 days, and then the researchers intentionally put them through an intense leg workout designed to cause muscle damage and soreness. Now, before anyone says they hurt people on purpose, yes, but for science. They use control exercises protocol that safely creates the same type of soreness, inflammation you get from a brutal workout, like a good leg day.
Oof.
Like, say you went back to the gym after like 6 months or a year, you had an injury, and you did your normal leg workout.
You're not sitting down on anything the next day.
You won't feel it till the third day.
Yep.
And then the fourth day, you're fucking just in agony, the soreness, you know? So over the next 4 days, researchers tracked pain levels, muscle strength, physical function, and side effects. Here's where things got a little interesting. People taking CBD consistently reported less pain, especially around 48 hours after the workout, which is usually when delayed onset muscle soreness, DOMS, is at its worst. They also maintain more muscle strength and experience less physical disability, meaning they could move around more comfortably than the placebo group. Cottonmouth up the ass. Holy smokes.
I hear you. You okay? That means mine's coming any minute.
And perhaps just as important, researchers reported no serious side effects nor adverse reactions from CBD during the study. That's encouraging because many people reach over the counter anti-inflammatory medications after a tough workout, and those can come with stomach irritations and other risks if used regularly. Now, before everybody starts pouring CBD into your workout shakes, mixed with your creatine and all that fun stuff, there's an important catch. This was a feasibility study, meaning it was designed to see whether a larger clinical trial is worthwhile. Only 29 participants completed the study, so while the results are promising, they're not the final word. The researchers themselves say larger studies with more participants and different CBD does are needed before making firm medical recommendations. One thing I found especially interesting was a recovery timeline. The CBD group appeared to recover about half a day faster on average than the placebo group. For most of us, 12 hours might not seem like a huge deal, but if you're a competitive athlete, work a physically demanding job, or just don't enjoy feeling like the rusty robot from The Wizard of Oz, every time you stand up shaving off a half day of recovery could be pretty fucking meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
So the takeaway, the study adds another piece to the growing body of evidence suggesting CBD may help manage exercise-related pain and improve recovery after muscle injury. It doesn't prove CBD is the miracle cure, but it does show enough promise that researchers believe it's worth studying on a much larger scale. For athletes, weekend warriors, and anyone who occasionally discovers muscles they forgot they had, this is definitely one to keep an eye on. Because let's be honest, if there's a way to survive leg day like we talked about without walking like a baby giraffe for 3 days afterwards, that research we can all appreciate. And I'd like to thank Lagunitas Hoppy Refresher because their fucking cure of having cottonmouth. That's why I drink this on the show.
That hop water.
The Hoppy Refresher, baby.
It takes away your cottonmouth?
Oh my God, yeah. It refresh.
Wow.
Refreshing.
Wow.
Yeah, it doesn't last very long, but it takes it
like
away.
If you had hair, it would be flowing.
Flow it. You've been flowing. Your hair's been flowing nicely.
I've got my summer flow going.
She's got the waves.
Got my
She
summer
brought
flow.
back the waves, everybody.
Mr. Weedman wants me to
Loves
have
the
curly hair
waves.
all the
I
time.
love the waves.
I feel like
love the
I
waves.
got a wig on, but
No,
it just feels abnormal.
wonderful looking. I love.
Well, I'll ride it out for the
waves.
summer.
I want to ride Mrs. Weedman's waves. This is really good weed, everybody. Jim Berry, thank you so much. Midwest Terps, thank you so much. We're having some fun on this show. It might go a little longer than normal because we're joking around having some fun, but you know what? Fuck it. It's summertime. Summertime. You ready to go, Ms. Weedman?
Yeah.
So tell us, medical marijuana significantly improves life's enjoyment among pain patients. Studies show. Tell us about it, Ms. Weedman.
If you've ever heard someone say cannabis doesn't really improve quality of life, this new research from Minnesota gives us something interesting to talk about. Researchers with the Minnesota Office of Cannabis Management looked at nearly 10,000 patients enrolled in the state's medical cannabis program who were living with chronic pain. Instead of testing just one strain or one cannabis product in a lab, they examined how patients were actually using medical cannabis in the real world, making these findings especially valuable because they reflect everyday patient experiences rather than controlled clinical conditions. The researchers used something called the PEG scale, which measures 3 things: pain, enjoyment of life, and general activity. Patients completed these evaluations before purchasing cannabis and continued reporting their progress over time. Here's where it gets exciting. Within 4 months of beginning treatment, nearly 55% of patients who started with moderate to severe symptoms reported at least 30% improvement in their enjoyment of life. Almost the exact same percentage experienced meaningful improvements in their ability to perform everyday activities. And 41% also reported significant reductions in pain itself. One thing I found particularly interesting is that the improvements weren't tied to one specific cannabis product. Patients purchased flowers, concentrate, edibles, tinctures, and products with different THC to CBD ratios. Researchers couldn't identify one magic formula that outperformed everything else. That suggests that something we've heard patients say for years: different products work for different people. Finding the right combination may be more important than chasing a single strain or cannabinoid ratio. Chronic pain affects almost every part of daily life. It can make it difficult to work, enjoy hobbies, spend time with family, or even get through routine tasks. Improving quality of life can be just as meaningful as reducing pain itself. Of course, it's important to mention the limitations. This was an observational study, not a randomized clinical trial. The researchers relied on patient self-reports, and there wasn't a placebo comparison group. That means the study shows a strong association between medical cannabis use and better outcomes, but it doesn't prove cannabis alone caused every improvement. Still, this is one of the largest studies ever conducted using data from a state-run medical cannabis program. Real-world evidence like this is becoming increasingly important because it reflects how patients actually use cannabis outside the laboratory. As more states collect long-term medical cannabis data, we're starting to see a consistent pattern emerge. Cannabis may not be a miracle cure, but for many chronic pain patients, it appears to help people do something that's sometimes even more important than lowering a pain number. It helps them get back to living their lives. Amen to that.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Good news.
Very good news.
Yay, cannabis.
Yay, cannabis.
Marijuana leads to robust improvements in the lower back pain and near total cessation of opioids. Study finds published in Biomedicines. Marijuana Moment released it. Kind of cool. I'm stoned. Very stoned. I am. I'm like,
Here, you want to think of something different for a minute?
No.
Man versus food?
Yes, tell me.
He was about like a little better than 50-50 on most seasons.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So like his season 1, he won 11 and the food won 7. The next season, it was 13 wins and food for 7 wins.
Wow.
And then
So he won a lot.
12 for 8 and 11 for 16. So his 4th year, he got whooped. That was probably when he was starting to feel so full. Anyway, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So every
That's a
season
lot.
has different rankings.
Yeah. I'm part of the bad back club.
Oh, yeah.
I've
You
had a
are.
bad back for a while since I
Long
got into a
time.
car accident in December of 2010, and it put me down for a minute. And now, if I move the wrong way, I might. And if something goes wrong with my back, I'm on bed rest for like 6 days. It hasn't happened in a few years though, which is kind of nice. But yeah, it's not fun being a part of the bad back club.
No.
Cannabis does help. It helps me sleep. It helps me, after a sore day of doing yard work or working out or whatever. It's yeah. So let's talk about something that affects millions of people. Lower back pain, whether it's from years of hard work, old injury, just sleeping in a position your body immediately regrets. Chronic back pain is one of the biggest reasons people end up taking prescription painkillers. Mrs. Weedman, did I?
No,
Never, right?
never.
I wouldn't even, the doctors would prescribe them. What'd I do?
Nope.
Won't even take them. Now, a new study out of Israel giving another reason to take medical cannabis seriously. The researchers followed 241 patients with chronic lower back pain over a 5-year period. These weren't people with sore backs after mowing the lawn. These were patients whose pain hadn't responded well to conventional treatments, including opioids and other prescription medications. So they introduced inhaled medical cannabis, allowing patients to adjust their doses needed for pain relief. I want that. The results were very impressive. Patients experienced significant improvements in pain levels, physical disability, and how much pain interfered with their daily lives. In other words, they weren't just hurting less, they were actually functioning better. Getting dressed, walking around. Getting dressed is tough for me. Like, there's days where I have to lay on the bed and get my pants up and like try to, putting socks on some days. Oh, God. That's, you can never just bend down to put your socks on. You have to like adjust your whole body to move. It's kind of fucked up. Yeah. I feel for you if you know what I'm explaining, Lucy, here, but here's the part that really grabs headlines. The patients continued using medical cannabis. Researchers found a near total reduction in the use of opioids, along with major reductions in NSAIDs, antidepressants, and gabapentinoid medications that are commonly prescribed for chronic pain. That's pretty remarkable finding, considering how difficult it is for chronic pain patients to reduce or stop opioid use. The cannabis used in the study wasn't some mystery strain with funny name either. Participants received medical cannabis containing varying levels of THC and CBD delivered through inhalation. Researchers chose that method because inhaled cannabis works quickly, allowing patients to adjust their dose based on how they're feeling at that moment. Man, send me, I want to try. Now, before anyone hears this and thinks, well, that's it, we've solved chronic pain, let's pump the brakes just for a second. This was an observational study, not a randomized placebo-controlled trial. That means researchers observed what happened in real patients over time instead of randomly assigning treatments. Observational studies can reveal important real-world trends, but they can't prove with absolute certainty that cannabis alone caused every improvement. Other factors may have played a role. The authors say more controlled clinical trials are still needed. Still, the consistency of the results are hard to ignore. The improvements lasted over years. Not a week, not a month. How long was the Weedman?
Years.
With an S. Not just a few weeks, suggesting that many patients continue benefiting from medical cannabis long-term rather than seeing the effects wear off quickly. That's an important point because chronic pain is exactly that. Chronic. People aren't looking for relief for a weekend. They're looking for something that helps them get through everyday life. Studies like this is also part of the much bigger conversation. A healthcare provider's search for safer alternatives to long-term opioid therapy. Cannabis continues to emerge as a potential option for certain patients. It won't be the right answer for everyone, but research is steadily building that under medical supervision. It may help some people reduce their reliance on more dangerous medications. I love what they say. Dangerous medications. They didn't say cannabis was a dangerous medication, but there's other medications out there that are dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
The study doesn't claim cannabis is a miracle cure. What it does show that for hundreds of patients struggling with chronic lower back pain, medical cannabis was associated with meaningful improvements in pain, better daily function, and dramatically less dependence on opioids and several other prescription drugs. And that's exactly why the research like this matters, because if science can help someone spend less time reaching for a pill bottle and more time getting back to living life, that conversation's worth having. Or, as we like to say around here, maybe the best thing for an aching back isn't carrying fewer groceries, it's carrying a little more evidence that weed works.
Hmm.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I didn't take pain. I was in, Mrs. Weedman knows, I was in a lot of pain and agony,
Mhm.
but I refused to take pain meds. I refused. I would suffer in that pain. Pain only hurts for a moment. And that was my thinking of why I always, every time the back hurts, I just either smoke a joint, take an edible, or I just keep on going and ride through it for a minute. I mean, I live in pain every day. It's not always a 10, could be a 4, could be a 6, but it's constantly a 3 to a 5 every day. But you just manage it. I mean, I eat healthy, I work out, I keep my weight low, I walk 15, 20 minutes a day with the dog, play, I'm active. Thing that sucks is I work behind a desk a lot nowadays. When I used to bartend and wait tables, I was always moving. Now I'm sitting behind a desk for 6, 7, 8 hours a day, so you have to be active. You have to get up and take a break, and you have to stretch, you have to move around, because if you don't, your back gets stiff to get stuck in that position all day. That flexion is where it kills me when
Mhm.
I can go extension all day. That actually feels good. But I move forward at a certain angle, triggers, no matter what. So think about that, everybody. Keep the weight low, eat healthy, work out if you can. Find you don't have to work out heavy. I don't work out heavy anymore. Ask Mrs. Weedman. My dumbbells don't go past 52 pounds, but I get a good workout in 5 days a week, and I got the jumping thing. What does that call? The rebounder.
Rebound.
I do that 20 minutes a day.
Yeah, and you have an elliptical.
I have an elliptical. Yeah. So I just about movement. Get out there and move and groove, everybody. Miss Weedman,
Mr.
tell us
Weedman.
why THC percentage is the wrong way to shop for cannabis.
Well, for years, cannabis shoppers have walked into dispensaries with one question: what has the highest THC? But according to cannabis experts featured in this Forbes article, that might be one of the worst ways to choose your flower. The cannabis industry has spent years teaching consumers that higher THC equals better cannabis. It's simple, it's easy to understand, and it's become the biggest selling point on dispensary menus. The problem? Cannabis isn't nearly that simple. Experts interviewed, well, and there's also an incentive to sell. This is my little insert too,
Tell
right?
us.
There's an incentive because they sell their product based on THC content. Higher THC, higher taxes, higher sales price point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just an upselling technique,
Ding, ding,
but
ding,
it's
ding, ding,
taught the
ding.
consumer that that equals good, and it doesn't. So back to the article and my summary of it. Experts interviewed for the article say THC is only one piece of a much larger puzzle. A cannabis plant contains hundreds of compounds, including cannabinoids, terpenes, flavonoids, and other natural chemicals that all interact together. Often called the entourage effect, these compounds work in combination rather than one ingredient doing everything. Think of it like cooking. You wouldn't judge a great meal by the amount of salt in it. The flavor comes from all of the ingredients working together. Cannabis works much the same. The article also points out that genetics matter far more than shoppers realize. Two strains could both test at 28% THC, yet provide completely different experiences. One may leave you relaxed and sleepy, while the other will make you feel uplifted and creative. That's because the terpene profile and cannabinoid balance are different, even though the THC percentage is nearly identical. There's another issue, and that is lab testing. Different testing laboratories can produce different results. So, and this is even with the same exact batch of cannabis, right? Different THC results. So, some growers have been accused of lab shopping, sending samples to different facilities that consistently report higher potency numbers because products with higher THC percentages tend to sell faster and command higher prices. Previous research has also found that retail labels sometimes overstate THC potency by a significant margin. Experts argue that this obsession with potency actually hurts consumers. People often skip over exceptional flower simply because it tests at 18 to 20% THC instead of 30% or more. Meanwhile, many experienced consumers report that those lower THC flowers are rich with terpene profiles that often provide a more enjoyable, flavorful, and balanced experience. Nobody walks into a coffee shop asking for only the most caffeinated coffee. Wine lovers don't judge a bottle solely by its alcohol percentage. Yet cannabis has somehow become one of the few products where consumers fixate on the THC number. Instead, shoppers are encouraged to pay attention to aroma, freshness, terpene content, cultivation quality, curing methods, and how a particular cultivar has worked for them in the past. Those factors are often much better predictors of the experience than THC alone. As cannabis research continues to grow, the industry is slowly shifting away from the highest THC wins mentality. Bud tenders are becoming better educated, dispensaries are providing more terpene information, and consumers are starting to realize that choosing cannabis is a lot like choosing good food or wine. Quality isn't measured by just one number. So the next time you're standing at the dispensary menu, don't let THC percentage impact your decision. Sometimes the best flower on the shelf isn't the strongest. It's simply the one that's been grown, cured, and balanced the best. And that's the kind of cannabis experience worth chasing.
Yeah, it is.
I agree.
Flavor over everything.
Well, and sometimes it's turning people off of cannabis. People want to revisit cannabis. Maybe they, in their 30s, 40s, 50s didn't consume at all, but they enjoyed it in college. And then they had a family and they were working,
Right.
and now they're at an age where they're like, fuck, I want more weed.
Yeah.
And they go to revisit it and they just get like hammered by this high THC and then they don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's too much.
Yeah, I agree. We've talked about this before. Yeah, it's
just kind of a disservice to the
the
community,
plant.
to the people.
Yeah, to the plant.
And to the plant. But yes, because then those people aren't able to benefit from it, or they're turned off from thinking that they can
Don't be
benefit
turned
from
off,
it.
everybody. Be turned
Just
on.
keep trying.
Find the
trying.
lightness first.
Yeah.
All about everything, the whole thing, the whole enchilada, the whole plant.
All are welcome.
Don't go into the light.
All are welcome. I feel like my voice is good for that right now.
Political state business moves. CBN, the cannabinoid best known for promoting sleep, is quickly becoming the fastest growing segment of the cannabis market industry. Analysts project CBN products could become a billion-dollar category as consumers look for alternatives to traditional sleep aids. CBN. I take it every night. A recent Supreme Court decision involving gun rights is already influencing lower court cases involving marijuana consumers. Attorneys are using the ruling to challenge laws that prohibit lawful cannabis users from possessing firearms, arguing constitutionally protection should apply equally. The second day of DA's marijuana rescheduling hearing featured opponents challenging the government's scientific review, supporting a move to Schedule 3. Critics questioned the analysis behind the recommendations, while supporters argued decades of research support reform. Pennsylvania Democrat senators are increasing pressure on Republican lawmakers to allow a vote on legalizing adult-use cannabis. Supporters argue legalization could generate tax revenue, create jobs, and reduce neighboring states' competitive advantages. The pressure keeps building, and eventually somebody's going to have to pass the joint or the bill. A new poll found cannabis consumers are significantly more likely to visit restaurants that offer THC-infused beverages as an alternative to alcohol. As cannabis hospitality continues expanding, businesses see infused drinks as a way to attract new customers. Dinner and a buzz, that's becoming a menu item instead of just a weekend plan, Mr. Weedman. And you were driving past a bar, you saw a bunch of cannabis-infused beverage umbrellas. On patios. Yeah.
Like on a major intersection.
That's a lot of money, too, to spend to be on those patios.
Yeah.
You give the free umbrellas and you give some money
I
to
was
sponsor.
more surprised that nobody shut it down.
Yeah. That's great.
That's cool.
I love it. Nebraska's Attorney General has approved the state's medical marijuana regulations despite publicly opposing legalization. The decision allows a voter-approved medical cannabis program to continue moving forward under established rules. Sometimes the law speaks louder than personal opinions, and patients are hoping that's exactly what happens here. If cannabis is federally rescheduled to Schedule 3, experts say the biggest winners could be licensed businesses gaining relief under the IRS Code 280E. Researchers and investors may benefit too, while state markets would still face a unique challenge. An opinion piece argues that the DA decision to invite mostly marijuana opponents to testify during rescheduled hearings may actually signal confidence in the government's recommendations. Its officials believe that science is already solid, allowing cities extra time may strengthen the process. Sometimes the loudest arguments are made because outcome feels inevitable. Georgia has expanded medical cannabis access as pharmacies and dispensaries bring broader sales of low THC products to registered patients. The move gives more qualifying residents convenient access to medicine while the state's program continues to grow. Pennsylvania lawmakers continue debating adult use cannabis legalization as Democratic senators push for a floor vote. Advocates point to economic growth, criminal justice reform, and keeping tax dollars from crossing state lines into neighboring legal markets. 6 months after Massachusetts approved regulations for cannabis cafes, many businesses are still waiting to open while burning their cash. Owners say delays and uncertainty are making it difficult to survive before serving their first customer. Turns out opening a cannabis cafe takes a lot longer than brewing the first pot or rolling the first joint, Mrs. Weedman. Now, passing that joint over to you.
Yep, I've got some more political, state, and business news, starting off with the U.S. Coast Guard. They recovered approximately 50 pounds of marijuana floating in the Gulf of Mexico after spotting suspicious packages during a patrol. Authorities collected the cannabis for investigation, though its origin remains unknown. Somewhere out there, somebody's wondering where their special delivery is, and the fish aren't talking. The California Cannabis Awards announced their 2026 medal winners, including the competition's first ever home grow category. The new category recognizes skilled home cultivators alongside licensed commercial producers, celebrating quality across the cannabis community. Turns out those backyard green thumbs have been quietly growing championship-worthy plants all along.
Yay for home growers.
Woo-woo.
Yay.
Several licensed cannabis companies are asking a federal court to let them defend the government's marijuana rescheduling recommendation against lawsuits filed by opponents. Businesses argue the outcome directly affects their future operations and financial stability. When your livelihood is on the line, sometimes you have to pull up a chair at the courtroom table. An Arizona proposal that would have fined people over excessive marijuana odor or smoke failed after lawmakers adjourned without passing the bill. Supporters cited nuisance concerns, while critics questioned how such rules could realistically be enforced. Nebraska's governor, has officially approved regulations for the state's new medical marijuana program, allowing implementation to move forward after voters backed legalization. State officials will now focus on building the licensing and oversight process. See how one signature can open a really big door for patients waiting for relief? Researchers and manufacturers are exploring hemp-based plastics as a fast-growing new market beyond the more common CBD products. Hemp could provide renewable materials for packaging and consumer goods, while creating a demand for farmers. Imagine buying something wrapped in hemp instead of petroleum. Mother Nature would probably give that a standing ovation. A new dispensary industry report found 89% of revenue comes from loyalty program members, yet many customers never activate their rewards that encourage repeat visits. Businesses see untapped potential in improving customer engagement and retention. If there's a discount waiting, you should be signing up before checking out. The U.S. House passed a youth online safety bill that cannabis businesses say could unintentionally make it harder to communicate with adult consumers through digital platforms. Industry leaders are watching closely as the legislation moves forward. Marketing cannabis is already tricky. No one needs another maze to navigate in the industry and on their socials. A new national poll found most Americans support a recent Supreme Court decision protecting the gun rights of marijuana consumers in certain circumstances. Public opinion continues shifting toward treating lawful cannabis users like everyone else. It's amazing what happens when policy starts catching up with common sense, I'd say. A new court filing from the Justice Department argues some opposition to marijuana rescheduling is backed by financial interests, including drug testing companies, and pharmaceutical businesses. The filing suggests oh,
Bless you, Mrs. Weedman.
whew, pardon me, I thought it was going to go away. It didn't.
Sorry, everybody.
Wow, pardon me. The filing suggests economic incentives may influence parts of the debate. If you follow the money, sometimes the plot gets a whole lot easier to understand.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. That's all I got. Mr. Weedman, it's back to you.
Thanks, Mrs. Weedman. Vermont has increased the legal cannabis purchase limit, allowing adults to buy larger quantities in single transactions. State officials say the change better aligns purchasing rules with consumers demanding while supporting the regulated market. Sometimes one trip to the dispensary is better than two, especially when gas isn't getting any cheaper. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker says new regulations or intoxicating hemp products are long overdue, arguing stronger oversight is needed to protect consumers while keeping products away from minors. Lawmakers continue debating how hemp should be regulated alongside legal cannabis. The rulebook keeps getting thicker, and so do the policy debates. Supporters of an Idaho medical marijuana initiative have officially submitted ballot signatures for final review after county verifications. If enough valid signatures are confirmed, voters could decide the issue and upcoming election. If Idaho's the next big harvest might not be potatoes, it could be petition signatures. Georgia's expands medical marijuana law could triple the number of registered patients within the year. According to state officials, broader eligibility and increased access are expected to help thousands more residents qualify for treatment. That's welcome new patients who have been waiting far too long to get their care they need. Illinois lawmakers are considering directing a portion of cannabis tax revenue toward improving school security. Supporters say legal cannabis dollars can continue funding important public programs while benefiting local communities. If another example of tax revenue doing more than filling government coffers, they can help build safer neighborhoods too. As the DEA's marijuana reschedule hearing continues, experts say the biggest unanswered question isn't whether cannabis has medical value. It's how quickly federal agencies will act once the hearing concludes. With the next FIFA World Cup taking place in countries where illegal cannabis exists, industry experts seeing opportunities for U.S. and Canadian operators to showcase regulated markets and cannabis tourism. The American Medical Association says marijuana presents both potential benefits and risks for older adults, while also supporting a ban of unflavored cannabis vape products. The organization continues encouraging more research to guide future policy and patient care. Science doesn't pick sides, it just keeps asking better questions. And that's political state and business news, everybody. Now, loyalty, Mrs. Weedman.
Mm-hmm.
Loyalty. It's all about loyalty. We've heard that word used a lot in the last week. So, cannabis loyalty isn't built on THC. It's built on what?
Trust.
There you go. Tell us about it, Ms. Weedman.
Yep. In my last article that I just talked about, shoppers were becoming obsessed over THC percentages. This one picks up right where that conversation leaves off.
That's why I gave it to you, Ms. Weedman.
Smart. Very smart. According to industry experts interviewed by MJ Biz Daily, the cannabis market is maturing. Consumers are becoming more educated, and brands that focus on only producing the highest THC numbers may be missing what actually creates long-term customers, and that is trust. For years, dispensaries competed by advertising bigger potency numbers. 25% THC became 30, and then 35, and so on. The assumption was simple: the stronger the flower, the better the product. But that's changing. Industry leaders say today's consumers are asking different questions. Instead of what's the highest THC, they're asking, how will this make me feel? Is this brand consistent? Was it grown responsibly? Those questions are creating a new kind of customer, one who values reliability over raw potency. Think about your favorite restaurant. You probably don't keep going back because they made one amazing meal 5 years ago. You go back because every visit is consistently good. Cannabis is becoming the same kind of business. The article explains that consistency builds confidence. If someone buys a particular cultivar for relaxation, sleep, or creativity, they want the same experience every time. If one batch feels completely different from the last, trust starts to disappear. That's why more companies are investing in quality control, standardized growing practices, and better customer education, instead of simply chasing the biggest THC number. Education is another huge piece of the puzzle. Many consumers, especially new ones, they don't know much about terpenes, minor cannabinoids, or why one strain feels different from another. Brands that take time to explain those differences often create stronger relationships with customers than brands that simply advertise 30% THC. The article also points to the rise of lower dose products, microdosed beverages, and wellness focused cannabis. These products appeal to people who aren't trying to get as high as possible. They're looking for a predictable, enjoyable experience that fits into everyday life. That's expanding the market beyond traditional heavy consumers. It's an interesting shift because it shows the cannabis industry is really growing up. Instead of competing only on potency, companies are beginning to compete on transparency, consistency, education, and customer experience. Those are the same qualities that build loyalty in almost every other consumer industry. And at the end of the day, THC may get someone to try your product once. But if the flower isn't consistent, the label is misleading, or the experience isn't what they expected, they probably don't want to come back. Trust is what brings customers back for a second purchase and a 10th. As legalization continues to expand and consumers become more knowledgeable, the winners may not be the brands growing the strongest cannabis. They'll be the brands people believe in. And in this industry, that's a pretty high standard to live up to.
Pretty
Mhm.
high
Ah,
standard.
speaking of which,
Let's get high.
let's
I'm
get
going to start
high.
international news,
All
though.
right.
A Manitoba man has been convicted in a large-scale illicit cannabis operation after investigators uncovered evidence tied to illegal cultivation and distribution. Canadian authorities say enforcement against the unregulated market remains a priority despite nationwide legalization. Police in West Auckland, New Zealand, what's up, home team, seized a truckload of cannabis after searching several vacant rental properties connected to an organized cultivation operation. Authorities continue investigating those responsible for the grow sites. An Isle of Man politician is asking government officials how much revenue the island is earning from its growing medical cannabis industry. The question comes as cultivation and experts continue expanding. Everybody wants transparency, especially when the crop starts bringing in some serious moolah. France has proposed a new decree outlining rules for a permanent medical cannabis program following years of pilot testing. Officials hope the framework will provide patients with continued access while creating a long-term regulatory certainty. Bosnia and Herzegovina continues developing its medical cannabis program following legalization, with officials working to establish regulation for production and patient access. The country joins an ever-growing list of European nations embracing medical cannabis. China is investing approximately $10 million into Lebanon's developing medical cannabis industry. I don't understand that. When I read that, I do understand, but I don't understand because China is totally, in their country, totally against, you get your fucking head knocked off if they catch you a weed over there. But they're giving $10 million to Lebanon's supporting cultivation and pharmaceutical production. The investments highlights growing international interest in cannabis as both the agricultural and economic opportunity. Thailand has introduced tougher penalties for cannabis-related offenses as officials tighten regulations following rapid industry expansion. The government says stronger enforcement is intended to reduce misuse while maintaining access to legitimate medical purposes. Following voters' approval of marijuana decriminalization referendum, the Cayman Islands government has released several options for broader cannabis reform. Officials will now evaluate possible regulatory approaches before deciding on the next steps. Thailand's prime minister has warned the officials may shut down parts of the country's cannabis industry following reports of increased international smuggling. Leaders say stronger oversight is needed to protect legitimate businesses while stopping illegal exports. And that is international news, everybody. Mr. Weedman,
Yep.
ranch fucking dressing.
Yeah, it's all about ranch dressing right now.
Ranch dressing.
Yep.
The World Cup brought ranch
yes.
dressing to another level.
It did. Set it over the top.
Set it over the top. So tell us taking ranch dressing
Yep.
to this next level with what?
Cannabis.
Tell us about it, Ms. Weedman.
All right, stoners. We've talked about infused brownies, gummies, butter, and even barbecue sauce. Today we're taking a trip straight to the ranch. That's right. Someone looked at America's favorite dipping sauce and thought, you know what this needs? A little cannabis. And honestly, they're not wrong. Ranch dressing has become a cultural icon. It goes on wings, pizza, fries, veggies, burgers, you name it. It was invented back in the 1950s by Steve Henson, who later opened Hidden Valley Ranch in California. From there, it exploded into one of America's favorite condiments. And now cannabis chefs are giving it an upgrade. The idea is pretty simple. Make a homemade ranch dressing with mayonnaise, sour cream, buttermilk, herbs, garlic, onion powder, lemon juice. Then stir in a small amount of cannabis-infused olive oil. The key word is small. You don't want one chicken wing to send you into another dimension while everyone else is still watching a game.
Unless Mrs. Weedman makes the dressing and puts people out.
That's happened. The article points out that cannabis can heighten your appreciation of flavors and aromas. Many customers say food tastes richer, textures become more noticeable, and familiar recipes suddenly seem gourmet. So a creamy herb pack ranch dressing becomes even more of an experience. Just imagine it. You're at a backyard barbecue, fresh veggies, ranch, hot wings, ranch, French fries, ranch. Someone even dips their pizza crust in it. Then, about an hour later, everybody's sitting in lawn chairs debating whether ranch is technically a beverage. That's when you realize the dosage may have been a little too generous. So, if you decide to make an infused ranch dressing, label it clearly and keep it away from kids and pets. And as always, start low and go slow. It's much easier to take another bite than it is to uneat the first one.
Oh, ain't that true?
Whether you're hosting game night, a summer cookout, or just looking for a new edible idea, cannabis ranch might be worth trying. Because let's be honest, the only thing better than dipping your fries in ranch is remembering that you made a special batch of ranch yourself.
We're going to make this recipe.
I think we are.
Oh, 100%. I'm going to infuse some oil and make that recipe. So, sounds wonderful.
Yummy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think I'm going to make some, we have coconut oil, but it won't be the same. But infuse coconut oil somewhere. If not, I'll make a batch of
they can't do
oil.
coconut
I'll
oil
do olive oil.
Ranch. That'd be gross.
Yeah, I'll do olive oil. I'm going to tell a little quick story before we go. Mrs. Weedman's a fantastic. To me, she's my fantastic cook. She has some really good recipes she makes. She knows how to make a balsamic vinaigrette that's emulsified, fantastic. So I infused some olive oil, and I said, "Hey, why don't we make your balsamic vinaigrette with the infused olive oil?" I don't know if it'll work. You made it. It was fantastic. We were high as fuck for days because you made it too strong. So I said, "Hey, I have a team meeting." I mean, this was like 2016. So I got a team meeting. Can you make the infused balsamic vinaigrette? I've told everybody about it. They want you to make it. Now, I worked with a bunch of stoners. I mean, these guys fucking smoke from the time they get upset. I mean, they knew what they were doing. So we make it, and everybody's in love with it, right? But there was one person that showed up that didn't know that the dressing was infused and put not a dollop, like a massive amount of
oh my God,
of dressing on her salad.
I told him to have people take like a teaspoon and then put like regular dressing, mix it in with that.
They did, but there was a lot of people that were experienced and they didn't care. They just put the whole thing on there. There was another person that happened to too, but I'm gonna tell the first story. An hour and a half later, we lost this. We lost this person.
That was John.
No. It was Danielle. We call her Danny. And I go down to the basement area of the Airbnb, and Danny is snoring. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize she ate the dressing yet.
Right. Experienced consumer.
No, not really.
Not really?
Light.
Oh.
Not heavy consumer. But she doused her fucking salad. like covered it.
Well, at least she was.
There was more dressing
sleeping.
than lettuce.
At least she was just sleeping. Yeah, right.
And wake up the next morning. My nickname is Boot. Everybody, if you ever went on our fucking website to look up my name, wakes up the next day. Boot brings me over to the corner. Was that salad dressing infused? Was there weed in that? I'm like, oh fuck! You came the next day, and the sign next to the dressing wasn't there. Everybody knew it was already infused. You came the next day. I'm fucking, you know what? I thought I was like, something was wrong, but it was the best sleep I've had in months. Thank you. But I'll never eat your wife's salad dressing ever again.
Oh my gosh.
Another person happened to next year after, doused his Italian sub with the dressing.
Yeah.
2 hours later, he comes in the house. Bob Lucky. Bob, what just out of my Bob dying?
Baked.
Out of his mind. Oh, shit. The stories. I love it. It's all about the stories, everybody. That's my tagline on my email. It's all about the stories.
It's all about the story.
Yep. Ms. Weedman,
Mr. Weedman.
that's the end of the show.
Yeah.
You got anything else to say before we go?
No. I'm, yeah, I guess I'm out of words. Everybody have a great week. I'm pretty baked. Hope you are too. If you're not, go fucking light a joint, would you?
Words of wisdom by
Come
Mrs.
on.
Weedman. We love you out there, everybody. Be kind. Have some fucking fun. As Paulie always says, smoke smart. Puff, puffing away.
Puff, puff, pass.
Check out our cannabis lifestyle brand online at 8decades.com. Our custom smokes and accessories are perfect for your coffee table, bedroom nightstand, or kitchen counter. They're designed for you to show them off. The Canna community is also loving our hemp and cotton blend t-shirts, sweatshirts, scarves, and hats, finished off with our 8 Decades logo. We've got some awesome long-lasting goods that will be your favorite for years to come. 8 Decades, because a 9th decade of cannabis prohibition isn't acceptable.